People often use the moral argument for God's existence, which tries to claim that objective morality is only possible if God exists. As a theist, I do agree with this line of thinking. However, I want to talk about the real difficulty in properly grounding morality objectively. To demonstrate this, I'm going to use Euthyphro's dilemma. Euthyphro asked, is something good because God wills it, or does God will something because it is good? Now, out of these two options, if you say that God wills it because it is good, then you have some higher standard of goodness that is separate from God. If you say that something is good because God wills it, then you make goodness arbitrary and subject to change. The first option would mean that God is not required for objective morality, and the second option would mean that God's morality is actually subjective. I do believe there is a solution to this, but I wanted to make this video asking other theists how they might try to solve it, and also discussing with atheists what they think about the issue. Yesterday I made a video talking about Euthyphro's dilemma and how it makes objective morality very difficult to establish, even in the theistic position. In today's video I'm going to talk about the third option, or the possible solution to this false dilemma. In this third position, goodness is not just whatever God commands at that moment, and it's also not something that is beyond God. Goodness would be God himself in his essence, or, in Maximus theology, in his energies. This third position would avoid both horns of that dilemma, because it makes goodness not external to God, but it also makes it uncreated, so it avoids any arbitrarity. However, I do think there is one problem with positing that it is identical to God's essence. If goodness is identical to God's essence, how do we have any access to it at all? Because God's essence is entirely transcendent, it would make goodness entirely transcendent and beyond us, meaning that the goodness we have as humans is a created goodness, and that would again fall into the second horn of the dilemma. I don't have a huge problem with Thomists, so it's more just a question. I'm sure they do have an answer to it. I can already imagine some off the top of my head. However, I'm not a Thomist, so using the theology of St. Maximus the Confessor, we would say that goodness is an uncreated energy that's not apart from God, but is not his essence either, so it's communicable and can be directly accessed by humans. Soon I'm going to make another video using theology from Maximus and Irenaeus to solve the problem of evil, because I think it's much more complicated than most people realize.